Tuesday, May 13th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. Well, folks, it doesn't matter what the weather is like today because we did it. We have arrived at another gardening season. It's our season kickoff. Michael Murray of Murray's Garden Center is here, ready for your questions. The lines are open. Grow season is a go. Yeah, it's not like sports day when you're growing up. You know, you're a kid listening to the radio. It's like sports day is canceled today because no. Gardening season, the show, goes on no matter what the weather is. As I look out on the parkway in St. John's, as our friends up in Labrador got dumped on over the weekend, it sometimes can be hard to be in a gardening frame of mind when snowflakes are falling, but this is an optimistic show, and this is a glass half full, a garden half full conversation. Michael Murray, how you doing?
Not bad. And that's the right way to approach it, for sure. Can you imagine last week we had a wildfire that caused so much damage?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. You know? Homes lost,
and,
right?
and I remember being out in Trinity Bay that day and out in shorts. Yeah. And then the wildfire, and I said, gee, is it the beginning of a dry, hot spring?
And then this now today, and through other places too. And I know Corner Brook had, I saw pictures that was white earlier this week too.
But Adam, as I'm coming in today, I see dandelions in bloom across the street, forsythias in bloom in everybody's garden. Daffodils are up and moving along. Soldiers and sailors, pulmonarias, full bloom now. So, hey, I think it looks pretty good for a start. It's not the best beginning.
No.
But hey, there's a lot of spring left to come.
Oh, on one of my runs around, I was running down Rennie's River Trail, right? Yeah. And they've got they're getting a little bigger now. These like type of cherry blossom trees that were planted there, and those little things are just about ready. They're just there. I took a picture and put it on my Instagram for stories because they're almost there. Cherry blossom season in St. John's, right? Anyways, we call it in the biz, we call it a promo, right? Hold on. I'm just going to see if Kira, who's teching the show, do we have that promo there? Like the good one, not the regular one I did yesterday, the movie one, Kira. Do we, in the promo bin, do you have that there? Kira's looking unsure. Yeah. The good gardening one. Ooh. Yeah, the 42-second one. All right, I want to just play, just because when I wanted to kind of advertise, and so this is going to be played on The Go. It's been, I think, played and on the morning shows, but the point was just to let people know that gardening season is coming back. I went a little over the top, so take a listen, Mike.
Okay.
Every spring there comes a day when green thumbs everywhere unite, readying themselves for the planting and the practical pruning, raising their beds with hope for a bounty of backyard vegetables. That day is now. The time has come. Gardening, Tuesdays, only on The Signal, 12:05 on the island, half an hour earlier in most of Labrador.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Right? That gets us, that gets us there.
That hits me. It's like the Green Gardener's the superhero.
Yeah, so first of all, no one should ever let me around anything with sound effects or soundtracks or clearance-free music. But here we are, gardening.
We made it.
Yeah. And folks, for today, so the lines are open as always, and it's every Tuesday. I think the gardening schedule for this year is every Tuesday up until the middle of October. We are back. Lines open each time. And the way it works is, you can call and ask questions, right, which are great because this is why we bring in people such as Michael Murray here to answer them. And we also love updates. I just want to know, what are you at in your garden? What are your plans, your hopes, your aspirations? How's stuff going? How do things compare to last year? Because all of this is a great conversation to have.
Yeah. Yep.
So the line 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255.
So while you're plugging the book, I'm going to plug an old friend's
plug
book.
this first, please.
Yeah. This is Ask Ross Travers About Gardening. And practical advice for gardeners in a cool climate.
The book.
And it's in the second edition. I don't know if you can still purchase it. This is my treasure.
Yeah.
And I use it frequently. And Ross, the practical advice, definitely on. And so that is a must-have for a gardener in Newfoundland. I wondered if Ross got any of those around still and where you might buy it.
I think last season, Ross mentioned, I think you can get them online. I mean, now don't quote me, journalists on the radio, don't quote me on it, folks. But I do look around because there was mentioned.
Yep.
There was mentioned. And they should be in the libraries.
Okay.
And, libraries are friends of the
Great
community.
gardening book.
And so many people over the years have talked about how great that book is.
Yeah.
It is so
Great
good.
one.
And for everyone calling today, by the way, if you call or text or email or to Dave Squires, whose text I'll read shortly, who texted my phone last week with a gardening question, you will be put in for My Island Garden, Ornamental Gardening in Canada by Don Baker. It's a new book, and we've got it as a giveaway. We don't always have giveaways on Gardening Day, but today we do.
Yeah.
And this looked great. So lots of nice ornamental gardening tips. We've got George the first caller of the season for Gardening Day, George Williams, Gander. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking my call, Adam.
Thanks for calling. Welcome. And gardening season. What's the weather in Gander like right now?
It's cold. I think it's probably like -1 the last few days. It's northwest winds, so I guess all this cold weather coming down from Labrador, I assume, and kind of a couple little touches of snow in the shady places.
Yeah, spring frame of mind. Hey, George, so what questions do you have today or thoughts?
But May 24th is coming up, so
That's
nothing
right.
unusual.
Long weekend coming. Here we go.
Michael, pleasure to talk with you again.
Yes, George.
A few little questions for you. First of all, I'm wondering, I transplant every year like some divide and pot up in 10, 12-inch pots, some canna lilies and begonias and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, when I pot them up and I put them in my living room, waiting for the weather to warm up, should I just be watering them or should I put a transplant fertilizer on them, like a liquid 4-12-12?
Yeah. I think the first thing I always do in the watering side, particularly you take today now, dull day, cool outside. They're still reasonable light, but nothing special. So plants aren't working very hard today. But what I always do is get my fingers into the soil, start to feel and see if it's moist. If it's moist, don't water. If it's dry to touch, and go down. When you stick your fingers, I like to go down to the knuckle and get down deep and see if there's any moisture at all. And if it's dry as you go down, then water. Water thoroughly, let it drain off, and that's the best practice. As you're trying to hold those plants, it doesn't hurt, particularly some of the begonias. Clip back a little bit. They can get a little stringy in bad light. The canna lilies, you're really going to have to wait, and even the begonias, till we get some decent weather, which I'm hoping will happen somewhere around the 15th to 20th of June as usual.
Now, Michael, these are like just I got them potted up and I had them in my basement all winter,
Good.
and I just potted them up in little hanging baskets, and I put them in my living room and get them going for probably about a month. So they've just been divided and potted up. So I'm kind of wondering, should I just be watering, or should I put give them some transplant fertilizer to help them, or is the roots a little bit too tender for that?
No, a bit of light feeding would be good, George. I'd certainly recommend that. Watch your water. Don't overwater. But certainly a little light feeding, not too heavy. And again, do it with the water when you're watering in a watering cycle that you're certainly involved with. I mean, you're a good gardener. I know from talking to you in the past. You're not an office at this, so you've got what I call good gardening sense. So follow along. I think the thing you'll run into with those plants, I mean, I have a bunch of begonias home. We clip them back hard, dry them out a little bit, but as we bring them up into the light now, we're going to feed very lightly, clip wherever we see any kind of yellowing or discolored leaves, get those out, and keep your sanitation high. Watch out for any kind of gnats or fungus gnats, as they're called, and try to control them as well. But no, you're doing the right thing. Keep them in the light and watch your moisture and a light feeding.
Thank you so kindly. Thank you so much for your kind words, Michael. I wonder, normally when I pot up my plants, normally I always give them, I tap the bottom a bit, or even just tap them a little bit on the concrete, on the pavement or something. I kind of always start to kind of get rid of some ear pockets and that. But one of my friends told me I shouldn't be doing it. He said that I'm compounding the soil.
I have to differ. I think you want good root-to-soil contact. If you press too hard and press down, and you compact, but that's countered by good quality soil. If you've got a good soil that's good, fairly high organic content, when you push it down, it springs back up. The tapping down, not a problem. Do it myself.
Thank you, Michael. My main question, what I'd like to know today, is I had access last year for some horse manure, and I got some, and I kept it over winter. Now it's probably a few years old.
Oh, perfect.
And I wanted to use it, but I tell you, some of my friends tell me don't use it because even though it's kind of a little bit, it's been there for a while, that I'm still going to get a lot of weeds. What's your opinion on that?
Did you see weeds last year? Because you've had it for a couple of years. Did you see any weeds growing it last year?
No. There was weeds on the top, but now I dug down to the bottom, took the top off and put it down. So I'm kind of a little bit worried about it.
No, I wouldn't be worried. I think the thing to do as you're cultivating and moving along and turning it, if you see any kind of roots of established weeds, those white roots, get them out. I like to use manure, mixing it with soil, compost, peat. I think it's a nice thing to do. You got to be careful, though. I mean, I used manure that was probably a year in compost, and put it on my fruit trees. Got a lot of good heavy growth, not much fruit. So you have to be careful of that, because if you get too rich manure, then you get too much nitrogen, and that just gives you vegetative growth and not much in terms of fruit producing wood. So you have to be careful that you don't go too vegetative.
Right. So if I mix it in with my soil for my vegetables, that should be fine.
Yep.
Always a pleasure, and I hope you have a great gardening season, Michael, and thank you very kindly.
Same to you, George.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
All right, George calling from Gander there, off to the races. Folks, if you would like to join the discussion here, if you've got questions about getting started for your gardening season, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. You can text us, 709-327-8206. Emails thesignal@cbc.ca. So here's a text that I got late last week from Dave Squires, because he was wondering, when will gardening day be back? And I said next week. So here we go. I've kept this text for most of a week. When pruning raspberries, is it okay to cut the tops off?
Pruning raspberries really begins with taking out the spent wood. That would be last year's wood that produced fruit. It's now probably dead. It's probably got necrotic or dead. Those need to come out. The shoots that were vegetative last year are going to be this year's fruit-bearing wood. Those you want to keep. So the pruning technique, take out the old dead wood, keep the new wood, and keep that succession of good fruit-bearing wood, and discard or prune out the old spent wood that came from last year's fruit.
The other follow-up on that was also, if you knock off some leaves while trimming, will that hurt production?
Nope.
Okay.
Depends how many leaves.
Oh, yeah.
10% loss on leaf is not a big leaf loss.
No.
You get leaves, if you start getting up to 50 to 70% leaf loss, you're in trouble.
Problem.
Yeah. But at the same time about leaves on trees, I remember moving a big tree at one time on a project, and in August, full leaf. And so the technique I used in moving, I had to move this tree. It was a substantial tree. And we just took all the leaves off. And what we basically just put that tree in false dormancy. And then we moved it with totally naked, watered. And that tree started to produce leaf again. And we see buds initiated as we went into October. Tree successfully. I visited the tree, which is got to be 30 years ago now or more. I visited the tree some time ago, and I always get a kick of going back and looking at the trees that I've moved and been involved with over my life and say, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
I drive my kids nuts. See that tree over there? We planted that back in 1978. Look at it now. Down here in front of the church, down all the trees along Lisbon Avenue.
Yeah.
Drive my kids nuts. All those trees, yeah. There's trees. I love looking at the trees we've planted. I think we've planted thousands of them.
Oh, but of course, right? When you first plant them and they're so small. Like I remember growing up, was a teenager in CBS. When we first moved to Sparrow Drive in Conception Bay South, top Fathers Road, we had a couple little trees in the front yard. And with these trees, back then I used to be able to jump over them when I was in school. And it didn't take a couple of years go by, and no longer jumping over them. But before the folks moved from the old house, there was the biggest tree on the street. Right? Massively big tree.
Yeah.
And you just look at it and you think of the history and everything around it. I love thinking about that.
Yeah, and there's lots of old trees around this community here and throughout Newfoundland. And they're really a statement to people who valued and planted trees. You know, one of the pleasures of going up Renniesville Road or that part of St. John's, wow, what a tree cover. And most of it dating back to the turn of the 20th century, a lot of it,
Yeah. I feel the same. Like if you leave town, depends on your definition of town. But yeah, if you go Topsail Way, right, and you see some of the great tree growth there from what was planted, it's still around that like 19th, early 20th century time when townies had cabins out there, and then you had the great community that was built up around it and stuff. But lovely trees in the Topsail area.
Yeah. Heart's Content, going into Heart's Content last year, we were coming down over the hill in the community. And I said, Susan, pull over, Sue, we have a look. And as I looked, I saw a huge beech tree. There was two of them on the landscape towering over the town. I went up and had a look, and they were, they must have had 6-foot diameters on them, massive beech trees. And they must have dated back to the cable days, 1870 and 1880, and the English people who came in to run the cable station must have brought trees with them from England and planted them there. And I get nostalgic about that. I'm a bit of an old fool like that.
Well, and, you think of the trees, and then you think of the cable station, and like where we are with connectivity in the world now today, just how history evolved from all of this. But you can just go back and like just touch the tree, right? The tree that was there, like as a smaller little sapling or whatever. I mean, that's I don't know. I like that too. Like I love thinking about history of place, of who was around when and what, and who's been around since, and all those people and all those stories. Yeah. Right? There's something to it.
Yeah, there is.
And if you don't care about it, fine. I mean, just that's okay too. I don't mind. Everyone can have different thoughts on stuff. The last note on Dave Squires' text to me was, remember, gardeners know all the best dirt. So thanks for that. I do like it. I do like that type of dad humor. Folks, it is gardening day, the kickoff. It doesn't matter what the weather is like in your part of the province. We are in a gardening frame of mind, Newfoundland and Labrador, and every Tuesday up until the end of the season in mid-October. But let's talk about getting things growing. If you've got questions for Michael Murray, my guest today, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. You can text us, 709-327-8206, the signal at cbc.ca. All right, I know when we've got the Father's Day thing of putting stuff in the ground, right? And so that's way still around the corner. We're just trying to get ready. But what if you're really champing at the bit for some of the cold hardy plants like your brassicas? Like, is there anything you can put in early? Lots
of stuff. I mean,
right, hit me with it. Like, what can you plant early and when?
Okay, so right now you could certainly, if you're prepped, get your soil prepped, you could certainly broadcast spinach seed right now. Put a little plastic over the top of the ground. That gets going. Rapeseed for turnip tops or greens. They could be planted now. Things in coveralls or closes, just giving a little protection. I know home we've got a lot of things planted in hoop houses, and they're coming on now. The other thing you can plant is, we moved 3 huge maples yesterday on the farm, and I saw them this morning. There was a lot of hubbub because I got a 3-year-old grandson who loves watching excavators, and he watched the excavators and loaders pick up these trees and move them. And I saw him yesterday afternoon. See, I said, "You see the excavator working?" Yes, Bubba, he calls me. The trees were moved yesterday, and I said, "Yeah, it's great. Did you get any water on them?" Oh, you get water. We'll get water. So, this is a time. Here's what I always say when you're planting anything in the ornamental side, trees, shrubs, and it's too often hard because it's hard work digging holes for trees and shrubs.
Especially in this province.
It's brutal. But here's the first mistake. I call it the phenomenon of digging a 10-cent hole for a $50 shrub or tree. And that's shortchanging yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, rule of thumb for me is 3 to 4 times the width of the root ball, down 18 inches. If the stuff that comes out of the hole looks like it's good topsoil, amend it by putting in some manure, some compost, limestone. If it's gray gravel, get it out. It's no sense trying to put that back in there. But getting good topsoil, amending it, again, limestone, depending on what you're planting. If you're planting a spruce tree, no limestone, but certainly some organic matter, compost. And then the other thing is staking trees and staking them properly. So you want to protect the bark using either a piece of rubber hose, a guy wire down to the ground, 3 points of contact, and watch you don't gall or strip the bark. Yesterday, moving the trees, that was one of the things. Sap's up now in trees. So if you're going to move things around, be careful of protecting the bark.
Yeah, because if you damage the bark right around, it's gone.
She's gone.
Done. Right?
Yeah.
And there's no coming back from that.
But then at the other side, I remember having rabid damage to a marvelous tree, a fiddle leaf, an oak leaf beech, beautiful tree. And the tree had rabbit damage around it. And there was a slice of connective bark from the top to the bottom that was approximately the size of my finger, and the rest of it was gone. And so I looked at it and said, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm not giving up on you. And that tree now has a diameter of 1 foot in diameter, marvelous, vase-shaped, beautiful, one of the first things to leaf out, and a marvel of a tree. But I call it the phenomenon, again, of it wants to live, like that scene from Young Frankenstein. It lives. Well, yeah, it lives. And it's life is something that it wants to be,
Folks, gardening season here on The Signal. That's Michael Murray talking there. The lines are open, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206, thesignal@cbc.ca. And when it comes to gardening season, it's questions about the how-to stuff, right? But it's also updates on what you're trying, what you're thinking, what you're doing. Oftentimes, gosh, Michael, we go from everything from food security discussions to climate change, even with on the gardening side of it, because we can talk about like everything from I'm using the royal we here, from ornamentals to the vegetable side of it, and you name it. We talk about it on the show. We've got Bob's on the line from St. John's. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for taking my call. So I got a question. My sister, I call her a kitchen witch. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, she often had a dish on her windowsill and she put seeds in it. So right about now, she planted some orange seeds in a pot, and it germinated, and it's in the light. It's getting in the window. It's getting a lot of light, and it started to grow, and it's doing extremely well. She's transplanted it. Maybe it's in his third pot.
Okay.
So height-wise, she had to bend back the tip and tie it to a part of the on the stem, somewhat lower.
Yep.
It was getting too tall.
Yep.
Even as it is now, it's 5-6 feet high.
Woo.
It's a narrow stem, but the leaves on it are looking very healthy.
Good.
A couple do have a bit of a brown on the edge, so I suggested we remove those.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, and it's getting tall again, and she plans to fold it back again to the stem. So where should we go from here? And is it okay to move that outside on a good summer day?
Ooh. Yeah, on a summer day, sure, you get temperature around 20 or better. Do well outside. I'm just thinking about your staking. Have you got a bamboo stake, like a substantial bamboo stake to put in close to that stem, and then using twist ties on 2 points to give stability to that stem?
Yes. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you've given support to a weak stem, and as it goes along, the stem will get more and more robust. You'll get it'll be able to, in time, stand on its own. But that support with a bamboo stake right now would be a wonderful thing to do. Obviously, you got good light. Someone's got a green thumb.
Yep. Yes. She does.
So now my next question is: has it bloomed at all?
No blossoms, no.
Okay, because that'd be the next thing I'd be in the adventure of this plant is wanting to get some bloom, and you might try to bring up your potassium if you're feeding a little bit. Reduce your nitrogen. So if you have a fertilizer, it's 1, 2, 3, which means one part nitrogen, 2 parts phosphorus, and 3 parts potassium. A little bit of feeding in that line now might generate some bloom.
Okay.
You could try that now.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And she, my sister, she's elderly. She's in her late 80s. So I guess I can certainly help her to move it from the room that it's in to outside. So was she bending it back? That won't hurt it. And she's bending it back and tying it to a lower part in the stem because she does not have the.
I try to keep it upright. I'd use that bamboo stake I'm suggesting to you. Try to keep it upright because the polarity or the want to go up is a part of what plants like to do. So you're kind of confusing her a little bit. And I would try to get it standing straight, use that bamboo stake, and tie it to that. I think you'd do better. Okay,
so it needs some potassium and cut back on the phosphorus?
Yeah. Yes. And nitrogen, keep that minimum,
Okay, well, thank you very much.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob. Cheers. Plants by wanting to grow.
Yeah, plants wanting to grow. Yeah. Hard to stop.
Doing the thing. It's really funny though, unless you have a plant that doesn't want to grow, and then it's
why is it that it doesn't want to grow? What is the circumstances? I mean, it's the first thing in a checklist in my mind is what's going on here with this plant. Usually begins in the roots. Often begins with issues of too much water, too little water. Nutrients is another, troubleshooting. See if it's, and you can tell nutrient, by it, like yellowing of leaves means to me, nitrogen's deficient here.
Yeah.
Purpling veins might be a phosphorus deficiency, So you look at it and get an understanding of what you're seeing. Get your hands in underneath. The big trees I was telling you, we went out to the drip line of those big trees. They were like a foot in diameter.
Right on.
And so we went outside and dug down in a circle, found out where those peripheral fine roots are, and basically protected them, and then used a huge loader to lift them. Had the site prepped beforehand, had all the materials ready, because I didn't want the tree out of the ground very long. The longer the tree is in the air, the more drying, the more desiccation, the less success.
Murray Clan doesn't watch a lot of Netflix, do they?
I'm too busy for Netflix.
That's what I mean. You're out getting your hands dirty all the time, right? Net what? Or I should say CBC Gem. All right, folks, the lines are open. Michael Murray's is here. You know what's really funny? The New York Times just so I get these New York Times updates, right?
Yep.
And as I look outside with snow falling down here on the first gardening day of the season, the update, I guess it's from their cooking side of it, says what to cook: meals for Maycember. I'm like, oh, a Maycember meal. Maybe I'll do that for dinner. Anyways, folks, if you want to get in touch about gardening, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206. The Signal at cbc.ca. Paul's on the line from St. John's. How you doing?
Hi. I got a question with regard to lawns. When is the time to lime and fertilize?
Anytime.
Thank you.
Limestone, anytime. Fall through whenever it's open, anytime. Thing with limestone too is making sure you put on enough limestone. 10, 15 pounds per 100 square feet is a good rate to follow. Fertilizer, a little different. What we've been doing here now is aerating lawns. We use a thing called a split or a slit seeder. We're using that to put seed and fertilizer in around. It's just starting now. Fertilizer, I try to hold off until the 1st of June, particularly the way the weather's trending. You're just wasting the nitrogen that's in the fertilizer. It gets washed out pretty quickly with heavy rain. So hold your fire on that. But the lime, anytime, get it on now, get the right rate on. Wait until you get into the 1st of June, then the fertilizer.
Okay, great. Thanks.
No problem. Good.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for the call. Right? Lawns.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm thinking is interesting with lawns is when we go back, when I begin my career and I see the amount of pesticides we're using to have the perfect lawn, and where we've gone in our practices and cultural practices is a lot more tolerance for weeds, less spraying. I think people have become conscious of the fact that we can live with a few weeds. The world's not perfect.
Yeah, no, I remember back when I was a paper carrier. And one of my customers back in the 90s had imported imported the perfect lawn back then, right? And
fleeting.
Yeah, but the amount of effort put into it over the years, right? And I just always wanted. I was like, it was kind of inviting for almost like a nap because it looked just so, but it didn't fit with the anything else here.
Yeah. No, about 2 or 3 years ago, we got this machine called a slit seeder. And Doreen Lehman, who handles that side of the business for us, she swore by it. And she said, okay, let's have a look at it. So she brought it over, and we tried it out, and she overseeded my lawn with it. And then Susan's out, and she started to mow. She mows at home. I'm not much on the mowing, but she sure likes to get on the tractor and mow stuff. Anyway, she says, what's wrong with the lawn? It's growing so much. Every week I got to go out and mow it. And I said, yeah. I said, that's that new seeder we're using. And I really think that's important, just overseeding, top dressing, rather than strip out and start afresh. Unless it's like if you got a lawn that's 90% weeds, you're going to have to start again. Yeah. Although I still, myself, I live with a lot of weeds in the lawn. I'm not uptight about it.
No, I mean, mine, I've got a little push mower, and I just that's it.
Well, as I was coming down here and thinking to myself, geez, look, the dandelion are coming into bloom. They're not in bloom home yet. Do you think I could get a feed of dandelion salad on the weekend?
See, now you're talking.
Yeah. So if over the weekend, if I don't have a dandelion salad, I'm not getting my tonic.
Dandelion salad and a pesto's. Have you had dandelion pesto? Really nice.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
The things that we weren't attuned to 30 years ago.
No.
And now where we are, look at the foraging that goes on now. It's amazing to watch it go on around us.
It's so great. I think there was a time when others did realize, but a lot of others did not, me being one of them. Yeah. And then as recent years, right, you get folks like Sean Dawson, right, who's going out, knows his way around finding a meal for you out in the woods of Newfoundland. So, It's all there.
Oh, yeah, it's all in front of you. And Sean's wonderful. I mean, I got to say, I'm impressed with Sean. I've known Sean. He's a friend of my son Cameron's, and a hell of a nice young fella. And I've known him since he's a wee fella. And he's always had an interest in plants. I mean, the knowledge he's accumulated himself just from, learning and reading. Yeah. He's a pretty good horticulturist and a fairly decent botanist now.
He's coming up. I played rugby with his brother growing up. So welcome to Newfoundland and Labrador, right? Played rugby with his brother. Didn't know him up until this professional bit. And talked to him a few times. Always enjoy talking to him.
Yeah, I'm a rugby player myself.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
In the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Right. We're both ritared now from rugby.
No, my fingers are gone. Played in the second row.
I played. I used to flanker, scrum half, but I came back for one 7-a-side tournament at the age of 40, and I was like, that is good. I'm hitting 45 this summer, so there will be no going back out of retirement this summer. I need to keep everything functioning. Let's go to the phone lines, folks. So we are about to take a call, but if you would like to call for the first gardening day of the season, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us 709-327-8206. The signal at cbc.ca. I mean, it may feel like Maycember, but we have a gardening frame of mind here on the show. Mary's on the line from St. John's. Hello.
Hi. Hi. I've got a question for you, Michael, keeping in mind that I remember you said years ago when I was worried about some plant or other, and you said, don't worry, everything wants to live. So I'm hoping that reminded me this morning because you talked a little bit about that already. Yep. But my question that you're probably going to say no. But anyway, this time of year we get a lot of, or a few anyway, sales on the hanging baskets, the 10 or 12-inch ones. Yep. And there's one, I can't remember the name of it now, but it blooms. It just keeps blooming and blooming all summer long. Yeah. So what is the name of that one, do you think? The blooming bells or something or other?
Not a fuchsia? Anyway. A fuchsia? No. It's an annual, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. But,
anyway, never mind. Yeah. So I'm wondering, should we pass on this because it's way too early, which I know it is, or is there a way of keeping it alive indoors until it's time to put it out?
Well, who could pass up on a bargain? So, so here's what I'm suggesting is if the price is right, and you've got a place to be able to keep that inside. And the place inside for it is a good sunny location. Keep the temperature. If you got a place that's 55, 60 degrees, 65 would be getting on the warm side. And the other thing with maintaining a hanging basket is pinching the spent flowers. And don't be afraid to take a scissors or a hand pruners and cut back the spent growth, anything that gets too leggy. The other piece is to feed 20/20 fertilizer as you go along. Not too frequently. If you were doing a feeding, say, on a monthly schedule, that would be good. But just keep clipping back, take off the spent bloom, keep in good, strong light, and you'll be fine.
Okay, really? Okay.
Don't put it out in the deck. Don't put it out on the deck and leave it out there. And this is one of the things I've seen in the past. People get a plant, put it out to harden, which is good practice on the deck. But leave it out overnight and it goes down to -2.
That's right. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'm just, questioning. Can you, is it wise to even buy them this time of year?
Well, if you're an optimist like I am, spring is there, and and I think let's see. What's the date today?
The date today is May 13th.
May 13th.
All day long.
A month from now, June 13th. Yeah. We're getting close to that time. Get it outside.
We're getting there.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I'll give her a go.
Mary, before I let you go, George in Gander just sent us a note too. Says, "Is it Million Bells, Calibrachoa?"
Yes, Calibrachoa. That's the one.
Okay.
Pronunciation.
God bless George.
He's so good.
Okay, and that will work, will it, Michael?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just again, feeding, light watering, temperature, light, and clipping back. Clipping back if it gets long and spindly.
Okay, great.
Good.
Okay, thank you so
Good
much.
luck.
So glad you're back.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
All
Cheers.
right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right. There we see, like, teamwork makes the dream work here on the Signal, right? You know, we're talking, people are still listening, giving us feedback, input, helping out. I love it. Right?
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, I mean, growing plants is a little bit of experimentation, a little bit of trying to different things. You know, it's engaging. Of course, it's what I've done all my life, and I've enjoyed it immensely. But I'm still learning, and I'm still experimenting, and I'm still trying different things. I saw the other day coming in a plant called a lobelia cardinal flower. Hadn't seen it around in a while, probably because I just wasn't looking. But there's what I call the plants that were in fashion, say, a generation ago, and come around to be in fashion again. I always like to see that kind of trend of what wasn't popular one time comes back again.
Yeah.
Fun. It's kind of like the fashion industry, you know?
Well, really, though, right? Because yes, I mean, good. You know, I think perhaps when you started, bell bottoms were in season. In the fashion industry.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're coming back anytime soon.
And long
but
hair.
anyways, yeah. See, long hair, bell bottoms, right?
Now look.
Now look. Look at all the mustaches are in right now.
Oh,
right?
okay. So we go around again.
We go around again. I remember growing up, everyone had a mustache when I was a kid, and then they disappeared for a while, with the exception of one or two people. And now they're back.
There you go.
Everywhere I look today, I feel like guys all have mustaches.
There you go. Now, I was contemplating. I had a very long hair over the winter in my dormancy of winter, and I went to the barber who had been going there for 40 years. Said, "This must be spring. You're in now for your spring."
Spring cut.
Spring cut.
We're doing. We did by again the royal we from my wife and I, but perilla leaves. Seeds are being propagated now.
Good.
And she's got some in the little, some have sprouted, right? So we're just like in that process. But last year worked out really well.
Good.
So perilla leaves, often translated in Korean into English as sesame leaves, even though they're not part of the sesame plant.
It has a taste.
Really good. So I think it's mint. They're from the mint family.
Square stem?
Kind of like, yes, square stem, I think. Yeah.
Square stem.
So there's
Always
like
a giveaway for the mint family.
a very good bitterness to them.
Yeah.
And the range in Korean food, it could be in stews, or you use them in Korean barbecue along with lettuce for like the wrap for pork belly or whatever else you're doing. Yep. And it's, just a really enjoyable one. No one here grows them except for, Ross. Ross grows them, of course. I talked to Ross last year about it. But it's just so, it's like one of those things that when you can't buy it, and you can grow it yourself, and it gives you that little taste of, in this case, for my wife, home and cuisine we are accustomed to from living in South Korea, and just being able to have it, it really just gives something special.
Yeah. It's that thing that reminds you of home, gets you that kind of nostalgia. And it's funny, the senses, taste, seeing, smelling, brings back memories, connects you again to something from the past. And probably goes into the future as well, I hope.
I was part of a discussion the other day. Someone was talking about ice creams of like the 1980s and 90s, right? And someone showed, it was a picture of one, a plastic kind of a cone that would have a ball of gum at the bottom. And I have not thought about this ice cream since, like, they were asking for the name. We didn't come up with I couldn't find the name. Or I think someone may have, it doesn't matter, may have looked it up online. But just looking at it, a memory came to me, right? I could feel the cone. I could remember like the dye bleeding into the ice cream from the gumball as you go down into it. And it was just this thing that I have not thought about probably since I was a child.
Well,
but it's there.
I have a memory like that too that goes back to about 2 years ago, having mint in a salad.
Yes.
And boy, it struck me. When I was younger, I didn't have kind of that palate for mint. But now at this point, I mean, I love it. It brings another shape to salad. And so we have mint out on the deck. It's growing now. It's really a tough plant. You leave it in a planter and dependable. And there's so many different types of mints. And that's an interesting thing to see. What I didn't like when I was 20, but now I'm 70, I like and have acquired a taste for.
There's some kind of some podcast I was listening to. This really kind of struck with me for this conversation we're having now. Someone mentioned that, I can't remember what culture says it or where the saying comes from, but for a new food according to this saying, they say you should try something 8 times.
Yeah.
And because in the beginning, if it's a different texture or flavor you're not sure of, you're like, no, I don't like it. Well, no, hold on. Try it. Like, try it 8 times and then talk to us about it. And there's a like, that's how you can make sure, like, you can really find out if you like it. And a lot of times what you thought you maybe don't like, you actually do.
Yeah. Well, that's so for me with music as well. I mean, there's pieces of music that are raucous. I remember as a younger man, I'd listen to something like Stravinsky, who my wife could never tolerate. But The Rites of Spring, which seems appropriate for today, is a wonderful piece of music that has kind of, I feel like there's some rock and roll in it, but it's a piece of music from the turn of the 20th century that still appeals to me today, and I jack it up when it's going,
I love it.
And she says, "Turn down the music."
Folks, we still have time for another call or two if it's the kickoff. And we've had some great calls, plus a couple texts from folks so far today for the kickoff to gardening season every Tuesday through the grow season until mid-October here on The Signal, like we do every year. Michael Murray is here for the kickoff, the season opener, as they say. 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206. The Signal at cbc.ca.
Adam, I was thinking when I was coming in here, back a month ago, I was in the garden when we had the beginning of fall, spring, and I was cultivating and dividing some pulmonarias, soldiers and sailors, and also I was weeding the first perennial weeds that started to emerge. And then I continued that, and I can't tell you how important it is for gardeners now to get out and address any of those weeds. They're mostly perennial weeds now, but the faster you're on them, the better the success will be. I have some persistent goutweed in a small garden that I keep on, picking. And between Sue and I, we constantly are. Guess what I saw today? I saw goutweed in the garden. And I said, "Did you get them?" "Yeah, I got them." "And did you get the roots?" And he said, "Yeah, I got the roots too." I said, "Well, okay." So just vigilance, being on top of it. What a difference it makes. You start now cultivating, turning the soil, getting things ready, much, much better start. And it's time. You can do that. You get out there. I was out yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yesterday. The whole.
God, like I
Not long now. Not long.
I got home yesterday and I was like, I'm not going for a run because the wind was up on Kitty Vidi. I was like, no, not today. I ran the day before.
If you see goutweed, you will jump.
Get out there and get it. We got an email in. Just I got a note from Megan here. Hey Adam, listen to your first gardening show of the season live. The city of this is an announcement. The city of St. John's has their residential relief program open now for residents to apply for a free tree until May 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's, I think if you just Google residential relief tree planting St. John's, you can find it. It's on the city website, though. It's okay. And here's the notes on it. The city has opened the residential relief program where St. John's residents can apply for a $200 voucher towards the purchase of a tree to plant on their property. There are 175 vouchers available, and there's an application form online.
The industry thanks you, City of St. John's.
See, right? There you go, folks. And only 175. So I guess supplies last. Not really supplies, but anyways, that's the cap so far. So do check that out if you want a free tree.
Yeah, I think the thing about trees, I'm becoming more entranced with the business of communities of trees.
Yeah.
In forests, those are communities of trees. And I think in the landscape, you can build communities of trees working together that will create microclimatic conditions. Of course, as you know, white spruce is my favorite tree. I'm looking across the parkway here. See that community of white spruce just down there?
Yeah.
Now, if that was a single white spruce, it wouldn't do as well as a community of 10 white spruces in fairly close proximity, maybe 2-3 meters apart, 5-6 of them. Mix in something like a Japanese larch into that mix. So out of 10 trees, 2 are larch. 8 are spruce, and even seedlings. And you put them in, you'd be surprised how quick they grow and how fast they change the climate in your backyard.
Like people, we do better with thriving, healthy communities.
It wants to live.
Right? It wants to live. Question for you now from me. I talked about this last year too. We moved in a new spot. I'm thinking of what to put. My wife and I, we both like forsythia. Because like even now you're driving around town with the yellow, just boom, right? Pops in the spring. Yeah. Especially even, I feel on days like today.
You need
and like even Sunday and in around Happy Valley Goose Bay. I mean, they'd be completely covered, but the pop of yellow does something, right? Yeah. What do if I'm putting one in my front yard? What the whole thing we talked about earlier in the show? What else do I need to think about?
Okay, well, the planting hole we've talked about.
Yes,
is sunny. Yeah, sunny location.
Yes, great location for that.
Don't plant it too close to the house.
No.
Don't plant it too close to the curb. Yeah. Because snow, ice, also salt, that's going to have an impact. You might have, I know where you're located, so, I think if you use the forsythia in that location, will do well. It's a zone 2 plant, and you're kind of in that kind of area. But then you might, on the backdrop of that, put a spruce tree. You might in the foreground something like a golden 9-bark, which comes into bloom later. You might also try something in that location. You'd certainly get by with a rhododendron if you're protecting it. Yeah. So now you get something evergreen, deciduous, and another evergreen with a backdrop. So
love that.
Just those 4 trees, those 4 trees in combination, and then something small in the front in the layout, the spirea, gold flame, something like that.
Nice.
So now you're getting color, form. Both evergreen and deciduous. So the combinations of plants in community sets up that situation where the display of that forsythia, which is in bloom now, you want something's going to come in bloom in June, July, and then even maybe a hydrangea in there, which comes in July, in August.
That's great.
So the combination of plants and thinking about color, thinking about bloom time, and then the succession of bloom, because you always want to have something going on in the garden.
We got a text coming in. First-time potato grower wants tips on time to plant. Got seeds from Murray's. Type is Centina Yellow.
Yeah.
So, first-time potato grower, Centina Yellow. Tips on time to plant.
Too early.
Yeah.
Too early. I would wait until you get into June, June 10th, June 15th. Prep your soil. No limestone with potatoes. They like a kind of an acid medium. I hope your soil's prepped. Nice to have a foot of fairly deep soil. Spacing out your plants, your seeds in a drill or a planting area, 18 inches between. In the row, you might have 2 feet. I like, if you can, here a little adventure. Go off and get some kelp. Mix it into the bed before you plant. You can do that now, and that helps tremendously. Get that incorporated. Let it. When you're getting kelp from the beach, I like to give it a wash off. Make sure I don't have salt getting in, and plant them about. You get them down 8 inches. Good soil though. Good soil. Lots of organic matter. Well drained soil, and then patience. Patience.
Patience in gardening.
Oh, yeah, that's what's nice about gardening.
Yeah, and also you don't really have a choice, do you?
No, and when it does pop hits head up, you go, it's a eureka moment. Look, we're going to do a little thing. Susan got me going off to an inner city school on Tuesday, I believe, and we're going to do a little planting thing with grade 1s. And I'm looking forward to that. We're going to plant peas, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and little cups. And I started off going to artificial intelligence the other day to ask, what level of discussion should I have about seeds and plants with grade 1s? Yeah. And it's my first real encounter with AI and asking questions. Yeah. I posed a question about seeds. Do seeds have a message? And the response was, that's a philosophical and rhetorical question. And so I said, wow, I've entered a new world now.
Here we are, and with that, we are out of time. We'll leave that for everyone to ponder. Michael Murray, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is it for today's first gardening day of the season, every Tuesday through the grow season, right? So get your tips, questions ready, or your updates for us. We love to hear from all of you. Thanks for everyone who phoned in today. We'll do a little book draw and get in touch with the winner after the show tomorrow. The magazine is called Edible Newfoundland and Labrador, the land, the seed, the people, the food. We will explore the pages of the most recent issue and talk food culture in this province. Question for you: how is our food culture changing? What are we gaining? And what's some of the stuff that we've lost over the years? That's tomorrow. Cheers.